Hey guys, it's Alexandra from EyeLoveKnots.com and YarnCraftsandCoffee.com. Today we're starting the crochet along for the Volume 1 Afghan. That's going to be a sampler style crocheted blanket with 6 different sections. Today we're going to be working on the very first section, which features half double crochet stitches. For this blanket, I'm using a worsted weight yarn. That's a number 4 weight yarn. This is Lion Brand Pound of Love. This yarn comes in balls that are 1020 yards, so one ball goes a really long way. And I'm using an H8 5mm crochet hook. If you are more comfortable using an I9 5.5mm crochet hook with your worsted weight yarn, feel free to go ahead and change that up. It will require more yarn for your blanket though. You're going to find instructions for multiple sizes, so you can choose which one you'd like to follow. I'm going to be working a small sample here with you. If you'd like to see the written pattern, you can pop down into the description box below. It's going to have the link to my website, and then you can go over there and grab the written pattern. If you would like to subscribe to my blog, the link for that is down in the description box as well, and then you can get access to the free file library where you can download the PDF. In the crochet along style, we're going to have 7 videos in total. 1 for each of the 6 sections, 1 for a border at the end. You're going to find the links to all these videos as they release added down in the description box as well. Gauge is not essential for this project. I will provide gauge information down in the description box for you if you want to check it. But if you don't mind if your blanket comes out a little bit smaller or a little bit larger, you don't need to worry about checking gauge at all. The stitch pattern for this blanket is complex because of the 6 different stitch sections. So there is no set multiple to change your number. If you'd like to make your blanket wider or more narrow, then I recommend trying one of the other sizes that I've provided. You can also go up a hook size to make it bigger or down a hook size to make it smaller. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with a slip knot. So I've pulled the yarn over my fingers here. I'm going to wrap it around my index finger 2 times, hold the tension with my thumb and my middle finger, pull the loop on the left up over the other one but not off my finger, then I'll pull the one on the left now up over the other one and off my finger. I'm going to grab my crochet hook, insert it into the loop on my finger and pull it off. I'm going to hold the working yarn in my right hand and the short tail end in my left. I'm going to pull on that strand so this loop will go to normal tension. And now we're ready to get in position so that we can start our chain. Now I like to start by holding on to this knot at the bottom with my thumb and my middle finger so I can keep better tension and so this loop doesn't get too tight to work into. We're going to swoop the hook underneath and behind the strand, that's a yarn over, and then pull it through the loop on our hook. Then I can rotate this and you'll see the first V shape there. Swoop the yarn under and behind the strand to yarn over and pull it through the loop on your hook. Yarn over, pull it through the loop on your hook. Each time you do that, you get one of these V shapes here. We don't count the loop that's on our hook. We have 1, 2, and 3 chains so far. I'm going to put up a chart that shows how many chains you're going to want to have depending on the size that you're working. Now that our chain is complete, we're going to half double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook. We don't count the loop that's on our hook. We have 1, 2, 3 chains. Using those V shapes there, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook in the center of that chain. So swoop your hook underneath and behind to yarn over, then we'll go into the center of this chain, and as I do that you're going to see that I like to hold the tension here on my hook and turn my chain horizontally to work into. Then yarn over, pull through that stitch. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. That's going to complete your very first half double crochet in that 3rd chain, and then the 2 chains that we skipped here in the beginning are going to count as a half double crochet in the final stitch count for the row. We're going to continue to half double crochet into each chain all the way across. So into the center of the next chain, yarn over, insert your hook into the center there, yarn over and pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Yarn over, insert your hook into the center of the next chain, yarn over and pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Each time we work a half double crochet, if you rotate your fabric upward, you're going to see these V shapes along the top. There's a bottom leg and a top leg, and together they make this sideways V shape here. When you're ready to count your stitches, this is going to be the easiest way to count them. With the fabric laying flat, you will also see these vertical stitches here. Each one of those is also a half double crochet, but it's the easiest to count from the V shapes at the top. So starting with the one that we just finished, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then when we run out of the V shapes along the top, we have the 2 chains that drop off to the side here, and that's going to be number 7. Those are the skipped chains from the beginning. So I have 7 half double crochets here so far. Now we'll continue half double crocheting into each chain there all the way until we get back to the beginning. Once you're at the end, if you count all of your stitches, you're going to have 1 stitch less than the total number that you chained. And now I've reached the last chain. I'm going to work this stitch as normal. You might notice that your loop enlarges and then the stitch itself enlarges. That's because the slip knot is not secured yet. You can hold on to the slip knot in between your fingers, give the small strand a tug, and it'll close that up so it will go back to normal tension. We'll secure that later when we weave in our ends. But with that stitch, row 1 is now complete. After we make it all the way across this next row, we're going to be working our last stitch into the top chain of those 2 skipped chains from the beginning. It's a little bit easier if you look back at it now to see exactly where you're going to be working. The first official half double crochet has this big V shape here on the top, and then to the right of it you're going to have 1 chain pushed off to the right and then 1 chain along the bottom. That one that's over there on the right, that is where we're going to work the last stitch of this next row. Let's go back. We're going to start with a chain 1, and then we're going to turn our work. And we're going to start with a half double crochet in the very first stitch, which is the stitch that our chain is connected to. So when you're looking at this stitch, you're going to see the vertical part on the bottom that is a small V shape. Then you're going to see a bottom leg above that and a top leg above that. In between that top leg and the bottom leg, you're going to be able to see a hole in there. You're going to push all the way through so that you pick up 2 loops on the top. The V shape that I mentioned for counting, both loops of that you want to pick up on your hook. So we're going to yarn over, then insert right into that stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through all 3 to complete the first half double crochet. The next stitch here, you see the little V shape at the bottom, bottom leg, top leg. We're going into the hole in between, and this bottom leg is actually called the 3rd leg. It's not the bottom leg of this stitch, but I'm just calling it bottom because it's right there on the bottom. We're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the stitch, picking up both loops of the V shape, and then complete our half double crochet. And now we're just going to go ahead and continue to half double crochet into each stitch all the way across to the end. And once we get to the end, we're going to work the last stitch together. Once you work a half double crochet into the last half double crochet, it's going to look like you've finished. We still have one stitch left that we're going to work into the top chain. So I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to locate the top chain. Let me pull this out real quick. It's going to be the very next stitch that you can work into. Looking to where you inserted your hook to work your last half double crochet, to the left, you're going to see a leg that swoops over to the end. Then you're going to see a back bump to the right of that. We're going to be inserting our hook into the chain just to the right of that back bump, pushing behind it so that we pick up that back bump and the top leg that's swooping over where they cross. That's what we want to pick up on our hook. So I'm going to go to that back bump, push to the right, and then when I come through, I'll have both loops on my hook where they both cross. So I'm going to yarn over first, find the back bump, insert my hook to the right of it, and then complete my half double crochet. And now row 2 is officially complete with that last stitch. And here in the beginning, this shaping is going to be off a little bit because of this stitch, but as we work more rows, as we put on the border, this is going to straighten itself out. This is the only half double crochet row where you have to worry about working into a chain. All the other rows from this section are going to be worked into half double crochet stitches. So for this next row, row 3, and all the remaining rows of half double crochet, we're going to work them the same exact way as this next row. We're going to start with a chain 1 and turn. Then we're going to half double crochet into this very first stitch that our chain is connected to. And then half double crochet into each stitch along the top there, all the way until you get to the end. And then once we make it to the end, we work the last stitch into the very last half double crochet. And that's it. This is row 3, and this is how you're going to work all the remaining rows in the half double crochet section. So to start the next one, you'll come here to the end, you'll chain 1, turn your work, then you'll half double crochet into that first stitch and each stitch all the way across the row. Now we're going to work several more rows in this section until we complete the height that we're looking for. So I will be providing a chart showing how many rows you're going to want to have depending on the size that you're working. But essentially we're taking the total length that we want minus ½ inch for a border and then dividing that number by 6 sections. And that's how much it's going to measure from the bottom edge all the way up to the top edge. As we're looking at our rows, I've flipped back to the end of row 3. I have the beginning tail end here on the bottom left, and my loop to start row 4 is on the top left. Looking at the bottom, you see the chains there along the bottom. Just above that, we see row 1. Row 1 has these vertical stitches here that look a little bit prettier and more defined than the row above it. That means that row 1 is the right side or the front side of the fabric. Row 2 above it looks a little bit different. The bottom of the stitches look like these little V's. The row itself is textured. The stitches are a little less defined. That is the wrong side or the back side of the fabric. And then if we look again above that, now we're looking at the front side or the right side of the fabric, where the stitches are a little bit prettier, they're more defined, they are not raised up like row 2 is. So this is how you're going to look to your fabric when you're looking to count your rows. Right side is 1 row, then the wrong side that's going to be textured is going to be the second row. Your next row is going to be a right side, and then the next row that you work, row 4, will also be textured and raised up like row 2. So when I work in half double crochet, I always count by 2s. I look for that textured row because it catches my eye, so it makes it easy to pull it out, and then I'll count 2, 4, and so on. Now I'm going to go ahead and put up a chart that's going to show how many rows you're going to want to have depending on the size that you're working. And I want to note that as we're following the chart, if you decide to work more or less rows, you're going to want to make sure that you finish on a right side facing. That's going to be that you will have just finished an odd numbered row and your beginning tail end will be on the left side. Once we've finished all of our rows and we've ended on a right side, it's going to be time to add the next section, which is going to feature my Little Pebbles series, a really fun textured stitch pattern. As soon as this blanket section is ready, I'm going to be adding the link down in the description box below, so you'll want to make sure you check there for the link to the next section and all the sections as they become available. You're also going to find the link to my website down there if you'd like to look at the written pattern. And the link to my newsletter is down there as well. Blog subscribers get access to the free file library on my website where you can find PDFs of the written crochet patterns. I'll catch you guys next time.